Metallica have a new album out, which has gone kind of under the radar. It is a live album. It's a fourth live album, and it's called Helping Hands Live and Acoustic at the Masonic. It's the first show of the All Within My Hands Helping Hands concert and auction at the Masonic in San Francisco, California. Oh, it happened on 3rd November, and obviously mixing, producing, blah blah blah. It's been released a couple weeks ago. So the All Within My Hands Foundation aims to provide. This is You'll be able to tell this is like a carbon copy from their website or something like that. Aims to provide direct support to community colleges to enhance their careers and technical education programs. These programs provide skills and services to students who are looking to enter a traditional trade or other applied learning program. Basically, money for people who want to just build their lives, build skills that they can earn money from, and yeah, just go off and live and flourish. Which is like Metallica are known for doing little charitable things here and there. They've participated in a lot of charity concerts and that sort of thing. I know they did Live Aid a few times. I know they did Live Aid once. And I had a whole list of them, and they were in my head. Now they're gone because memory. But either way, they are. I feel like they are known for their charitable contributions over time. And yes, and the night in question, the concert at the Masonic, it was effectively a greatest hits track list. There we go. Greatest hits track list in an acoustic format, interspersed with some cover songs that Metallica are becoming well known for. Just look at Garage Inc. and how it inspired many people to get into music, and just helped them discover loads of really, really good punk bands. And yeah, either way, they are not adverse to talking about their inspirations either. So they've always talked about how New Age of British heavy metal meant a lot to them. They've got Nazareth in here in Deep Purple. There's also a cover of Bob Seger and I can't remember. No, it was Nazareth. Oh, I can't remember who does Please Don't Judas Me. I'm going to Google that as I'm carrying things on. No, that was Nazareth. Fuck me. The opening song it kind of caught me because I had to go through a few times and like figure out what the song was, compare it to the original, and find out what it was. Veterans of the Psychic War, Blue Oyster Cult, of course. As if I didn't already know that. So it opens with Disposable Heroes, and that is like, I know what Disposable Hero sounds like. It's a very fast-paced, very thrash metal. It comes from Master of Puppets, so it's going to sound thrash AF. Can't believe I just said AF. But because it's more suited for this more acoustic kind of thing, it sounds worlds different. I remember watching an interview with James Hetfield. I don't know if it was on the DVD or what, but for S&M, Metallica purposely chose songs that fit that classic music mold. A lot of that was down to the effect Cliff Burton had back in the day, and just songs Heath, like James and Lars, and I guess to a lesser extent Kirk and Jason all felt would fit that like orchestral backing. Whereas with a song like with this kind of thing, instead of trying to find songs that are already acoustically minded or can be easily transferred into a more acoustic setting, they completely reworked Disposable Heroes. And because it's Metallica, because it's James Hetfield, because it's Lars and Kirk and now Rob, of course it fucking worked, and of course it still sounds amazing. It just takes, I feel like it was an interesting choice to open with that. I probably, if I was in Metallica, I would have chose to have something a bit more recognizable to open proceedings. Like, it took a while for it to click that this was actual Disposable Heroes. But nevertheless, it still worked like a fucking dream. Went into One of Blind Men Cries by Deep Purple. They've covered before for a Deep Purple tribute album. Still sounds good as fuck. Song number 3 is my favourite Metallica song. Potentially my favourite song of all time. They did a version of The Unforgiven, complete with a solo, which even on a electro acoustic guitar still sounds fucking mental. Sorry, tea break. And yeah, I love everything about that song. When I was just a little girl. When I was in it must have been year 10, so what's that, 15. I really wanted, I was thinking about like what tattoos to have in the future. I really, like, everyone has well, at least at some point, everyone's thought about getting a lyric tattoo on them. And I loved all of the Unforgiven so much that I couldn't decide which lyric to get. So at one point, I was going to have the entire Unforgiven lyrics tattooed on my back because I was that devoted to this song. I still am. I don't want to get the whole like lyric sheet on my back though. I have moved on from that, but Unforgiven still stands as a fucking phenomenal song for me. And it's a shame because for the first half of the album, there are so many audio issues, and you can hear James getting increasingly frustrated with it. I don't know whether it's because of the audio issues that he's got, whether he because obviously performers, they hear everything slightly different to what the crowd hears, so they can keep it on with everyone else. I don't know if it's because of that or whatever reason, but during points of Turn the Page, he did sound quite strained in his voice, and it did sound like he was struggling a bit. I think by the time at the end of every song, there's like a bit of banter a bit of communication between James and everyone else, and he does state in that on multiple occasions, and I think halfway through one of the songs, you can just about hear him say like, change this or change that, or this isn't working, that's not right. So he is still the massive perfectionist. But I think by the time Bleeding Me came around, everything seems to be sorted. Bleeding Me sounded incredible. Veteran of the Sacred Walls, which was the Boys to Cult song, I had to Google a minute ago. That's like a really catchy song. I think it does do really well on the acoustics. Large joke that, James was joking that it was last favourite song, or one of. Tried to get him to do vocals for it, but not quite, and that was something that I really, really appreciated in this, because it's a lot more personal performance this time, a bit more like smaller compared to the arenas and stadiums they used to playing. There was a lot of heartwarming banter between members of the band and even with the crowd. So you've got like James goading Lars to try and sing Veteran of the Psychic Wars, making fun of his 8 count at the start of every single song, interacting with the crowd, and supposed to they've got like chairs and tables and this kind of thing. It was, even after all these years, they can still have fun, and James has got such a dumb sense of humor, and it is really, really cool to hear. Final third of the album had some really interesting choices actually. So it's the fact that the charity is called All Within My Hands. I feel it's understandable that they had to do the song All Within My Hands from Saint Anger. But it's still a weird choice. Like, if you think of anything from Saint Anger, probably wouldn't be my first choice. I'm surprised there's anything from Saint Anger at all. I know it's become a bit of a meme and starting to become a bit of a cult album. I know, I really enjoy it. Probably wouldn't have been the first one for me. I imagine they're all pretty happy they didn't decide to call the charity Dyer's Eve, else they might have all just perished. And from there, they like Enter Sandman, which is the obvious one. It sounds great still. Into the Four Horsemen, which again was a strange choice. You think Kill 'Em All was a very speed metal album, very, very fast paced, translated quite well to acoustics, almost like bluegrass, that more fast paced kind of thing. Kind of what the Native Howl are going quote unquote viral for. I think it just sounds like bluegrass, but they are insistent it's bluegrass meets thrash metal, but what do I know? But yeah, like I said, Four Horsemen worked really well. It ended up becoming more of a bluegrass sort of song. The end with Hardwired, I think out of without knowing too much about the cover songs, apart from Turn the Page, I've got the original of that. And outside of Nothing Else Matters. I'd say Hardwired probably remains as faithful to the original more than any other song on the album. It still has the double kick, it still has like the fast paced riffs. And it wouldn't have been, if they had to choose a song from Hardwired to Self Destruct, that would not have been my first choice. I think Dream No More or Halo on Fire are possibly better suited for this kind of setting or this kind of aesthetic. Murder One would have been like an easy, slipping in an easy Lemmy tribute, but that's just a cynical side of me, I guess. But they still made Hardwired sound fucking unreal. It's, like I said, it's surprising how close to the original it sounds. Everything else being quite chill. Even like the more slightly faster paced songs like Disposable Heroes, they rework it to be a bit more calm and collective, where this was more straightforward. What if we just played the song but on different guitars? And yeah, I thought it worked really, really well. Overall, I thought the performance was really, really fun. I know there's a lot of people who go nuts about the grunge Unplugged series from MTV back in the day. And fair play, when it's stuff like this, you can kind of understand why they were so popular back in the day. And it just goes to show how good Metallica are at expanding the sound and showing how progressive they are. Like, you look at albums like And Justice for All, or the Black Album, or like the more obvious ones like S&M and Lulu. Yeah, Lulu wasn't great, but if you are not experimenting after 30 years of being a band, what's the fucking point? Like, they've made a movie. They are not... There's a reason why Metallica are known by everyone and why they can headline any festival that they're booked at and draw in huge numbers. Because they're not just playing by numbers. And this isn't a dig at any band in particular. But they are... Like, metal fans are so fickle and so pernickety. Like, they want change, but they want their bands to stay the same. And as soon as they do one or the other, they attack them. Metallica did... Like, they stayed the same. They had, like, the thrash metal part. Then they had, like, the more heavy metal hard rock kind of thing. And they were constantly bolstering their sound. They made a symphonic metal album. They made an experimental art album. They made an album which still is in the billboards with a Black Album. I feel like it's got a staggering statistic. It's never left the Billboard. I feel like it's something in, like, the top 10 or something bizarre like that, because people are still going for this album, still going for this music. And I think it's just a testament that, like, people often... I've seen the argument a few times, like, who's the bigger band, Iron Maiden or Metallica? Maiden have been doing... They get, like, huge stage shows and this sort of thing, but they've been doing the same thing for 30, 40 years. Metallica have been going for not as long, I don't think, but are doing so much more and having so much bigger presence worldwide. And I feel like as a Brit, I should be siding with Maiden, but Metallica all the way. For fans of Part, if you don't know who Metallica are, I feel like you've hit the wrong podcast. But like I said, the only comparison I had was Native Howl. But then if you like Native Howl and you want it to hear it done better, look for this. It's kind of difficult to get a hold of. There's only been a vinyl pressing, I think a digital download. Find a digital download or find some stream online. Support the artist though. And yeah, this is a nice album to have on. Which I know is like, we're not supposed to say nice. My English teacher would fucking beat the shit out of me. But yeah, it's just an easy album. And sometimes that's what you need.